Alright, so part 2 to my E3 predictions for this year. Guys, E3's coming up. It's coming up real quick and I'm so excited. And in this video, we're going to be talking about a new Switch model and what that could mean, as well as some of the other, non-Nintendo conferences that are happening, like Microsoft, Square Enix, and what games they could be showing that could be coming to Nintendo Switch. So right off the bat here, we're going to start with this new Switch model here. And this is a fan-made model, so this is not a leak or a rumor or anything, but I want to talk about this because it's a really cool idea, and it could also then, the cool thing about it is then it could kind of bring games that were on the Wii U that were built around the dual screen functionality, bring those over to Switch, because that's still one thing that Nintendo Switch cannot do, and it cannot do what Wii U did with the dual screen setup on the gamepad and TV until now. So if we look at this here, the cool thing about it, at least what I think is the coolest thing about it, is this new dock that you see here. So the way it works is it's actually magnetic, and the cool thing about this is then you can now play on your Switch screen as well as the TV at the same time. So the reason this is interesting is because think about games like Nintendo Land. I love Nintendo Land. That is one of the best and most underrated games on Nintendo Wii U that I have wanted since day one on Nintendo Switch. And for those of you who didn't get a Wii U, that was the game that came included, which is why a lot of people thought 1-2 Switch should have came with the Switch. So Nintendo Land actually came with the Wii U, and it is fantastic, but the problem is you need dual screens for it to work. So now if you see the Switch model here, now it's a possibility. And I know a lot of you are thinking, well, I don't want to be holding this dock, like that's weird because then you're going to be holding that dock. But the thing is, this Switch model here, if I can find a picture, yeah, right here. So the Switch model here that he's created, it's actually lighter and smaller, but it's actually more powerful. So you can see here, since this whole back here is kind of like hollowed out for the dock, it makes it way lighter. So when you attach this back to it, it probably will feel very similar to what we have now. So it's really not that big a deal. And it'll be magnetic, so it'll easily just, help hold on to the back, and you shouldn't really have to hold it too much. So that's the cool thing about this, is because, I'm someone who had a Wii U. I know a lot of people did not like the Wii U, but that's one thing it still does that Switch does not, and that dual screen thing, and it's something that it only exists on Wii U right now. I know people didn't really care for it, but games like Nintendo Land, think about Mario Maker 2 that's coming out. Think of how much easier it would be if you had this setup here and you were able to create your course on the gamepad, but then also see it on the screen. Same way it works, Mario Maker works on Wii U. Just make it so much easier to do things. And other games like Xenoblade Chronicles X, that game, I loved having the map, on my gamepad. It just made it easier for me to navigate menus and just really quickly. Like, I actually really like that dual screen setup. So that brings back so many of those possibilities for Switch if this were real. Other things about this that are cool is the screen is bigger but better resolution, so 1080p. There's a D-pad now. Also, there's different colors here. It's lighter, like I mentioned. The Joy-Cons would be attached as the only thing. So this is kind of cool. It's like a Switch Mini fused with a Switch Pro kind of thing. It's more powerful, but it's smaller, and the Joy-Cons stay attached. So I just wanted to highlight this really quick because of that. It just, makes me think about all these exciting possibilities for Switch, because those games cannot be really ported over. They would, they can, but they're, games like Nintendo Land will require, huge overhauls for them to work on Switch because of that dual screen thing. So that's why I wanted to talk about this, because if this were like a real thing, those games could come. So I will leave links to this, this website in the description if you guys want to read through more of this on your own, look at the pictures and everything. But it's a pretty cool idea. What do you guys think? Alright, so let's talk about the other guys that are going to be having conferences at E3 this year, and how they could relate to Nintendo Switch. So first up we have EA, and I think 2K20 was actually leaked already. so they're probably going to be announcing that this E3, and it's going to be coming to Nintendo Switch. That's all I really had to say about EA. I don't care for sport games. I don't really care for EA either. So that's all I really want to say about EA. So I guess if you're a fan of 2K20, that's great. There's also Bethesda. Now, Bethesda's interesting because we know Doom Eternal's coming. We know it's already coming day and date on Switch. Cross my fingers that one doesn't get delayed. And I'm sure they're also going to be talking about Elder Scrolls 6. Now, this would be one of my just dreams, would be Elder Scrolls 6 being released simultaneously on all platforms, including Switch, which, I don't know if it's possible. We obviously have Skyrim, right? We have Skyrim on Switch, but the problem is that game is really old at this point, guys. Like, that game came out like so long ago that it really wasn't that much of a problem for Switch. So I don't know if Elder Scrolls 6 could be coming to Switch. That would be amazing. Skyrim is actually my first Elder Scrolls game, and I've actually never played it anywhere other than Switch, surprisingly. So I really love it, and I really hope the next game comes to Switch as well. Alright, then we have Microsoft, so I'm sure they're going to be talking about their Project xCloud. I think if that was coming to Switch, I think it's too early to talk about that at this point, but we know Microsoft and Nintendo have been buddy-buddy. We had Cuphead recently, so I really think what we could see here potentially is Ori and the Blind Forest, because Ori and the Blind Forest 2 is supposed to be coming out this year, so I really have a feeling that Microsoft's going to announce that game and also say it's coming to Nintendo Switch day and date, as well as Ori and the Blind Forest, the first game. I really think that could be happening, and I think that would be a great get for a Nintendo Switch. Ubisoft's also having a conference. I guess they could be doing maybe like another spin-off type game like Mario Rabbids Kingdom Battle. That game did really well, so they could actually just be working on like a sequel to that. That's a possibility, but I feel like since that game did so well, they probably have some game like that up their sleeves. Some kind of crossover would be a cool idea. Obviously, we had Starlink Battle for Atlas as well with Star Fox, so I really expect them to have some other weird like crossover type game. So, and then finally, this is one that I'm actually really excited for, and that is Devolver Digital. So they're an indie publisher, and they've came out with games like Katana Zero, Ape Out, Gris, Messenger, all these really great indie games on Nintendo Switch. So I'm looking forward to see like any new games that they're going to be announcing, because all these indies that I just mentioned are fantastic. And honestly, I'm curious like what your guys' favorite Devolver Digital game is on Switch if you are into indies, because there's so many good indies on Switch, but I feel like all of their games are some of the best ones on Switch. So I'm really excited to see what they have to offer this year. So whatever games that all these guys announce, I'm sure there's going to be some Switch titles, sprinkled in there throughout their presentation. So I'm really excited for those as well. But obviously, I'm most excited for Nintendo's Direct, which is not till the 11th. I cannot wait. I'm so excited. I want to see what new games they're gonna have, how they're gonna surprise us. But either way, guys, super excited. Let me know what your guys' predictions are, and I'll see you in the next video.